Hey everyone, Johnny C here with another Old School Runescape Trailblazer video. Today I want to talk about my plans for Trailblazer, Mauritania, the Theater of Blood, and the last two regions that I have to select for unlock. And with that, I want to go over skilling that's available in Mauritania, ways to progress your account within Mauritania, and how to satiate the gear that you'll need for Theater of Blood elsewhere. By the way, I will be making more Trailblazer videos throughout the league. If you guys want to stay up to date with my progress, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. It would be greatly appreciated. Thank you guys for helping me start out here on YouTube. So let's get right into it. So first off, let's talk about the skilling that's available in Mauritania, and we'll move on from there. Essentially, the skills that I've identified that I'll be training in Mauritania or can be trained in Mauritania are crafting. I could do glass blowing in Mauritania. I can realistically do glass blowing anywhere. As far as skills go in Mauritania, I'll probably need to look at the other two regions that I end up unlocking for skilling. But what I have identified so far in Mauritania is that sharks are available. You can do shark fishing in Bergnerat, in which you can do cooking as well. Of course, we've got Shiloh Village for river fishing. We've got Edgeville for river fishing. So there's definitely the possibility of training your fishing at least at a decently high level. Otherwise, now if you do want to do drift net fishing and train hunter as well as fishing, there's a possibility of doing that, though you will need to farm your own jute. Wood cutting is definitely possible in Mauritania, though you will need to get a high enough level to cut the blisterwood trees. That's probably the best AFK training method for wood cutting, at least in Mauritania. Now, of course, yew trees in Edgeville and various other places would be a possibility as well, especially if you take Endless Harvest, might actually be worth training there. Otherwise, with Production Master, it's probably quicker to fletch them into arrow shafts instead of actually dropping logs or burning logs. Agility training is definitely possible in Mauritania. You have the Canifis agility course, you have the Werewolf agility course, and you have the Hollowed Sepulchre. I mean, what more do you need? The agility's taken care of there. You can do Draenor rooftop to Varrock rooftop and then get your way all the way up until Sins of the Father, which you will have to complete a Taste of Hope and Sins of the Father in order to train agility and woodcutting semi-efficiently. Thieving can be done in Mauritania by thieving vampires, though I believe the level requirement is fairly high. Let's see, level requirement on fires. Yeah, so 82. I can't imagine thieving master farmers to take that long to get to 82. Besides that, the seeds will actually be worthwhile. So it would probably benefit you to actually thieve master farmers all the way up to Vires. And then there are some pretty good drops that the Vires give on their loot table for thieving as well as killing. Bloodshard is definitely at the top of my list. I do believe Bloodshard is going to be very, very strong in Trailblazer League. Let's see. Moving on, fletching. Realistically, I mean, that can be trained just about anywhere. I probably wouldn't train it in Mauritania. I'd probably train it in Misthalin if we're just looking at Mauritania right now. Slayer, of course, you've got the Slayer Tower. It's not going to be great. It's not going to be bad, but you know, the tasks are what they are. So of course, if you go on natural selection and you have the ability to actually pick your Slayer task, if that's what the relic is going to do this time around, then, you know, maybe actually training Slayer in Mauritania would be pretty good. Of course, you do have the farming patch up near the Ectophile teleport. That is going to be really great for progressing your farming, though of course it's going to be more efficient if you unlock, say, Asgarnia. There are actually two allotment patches. There's one in the Ectophile area, and then there's one on Harmony Island. So there's an allotment patch here and then a herb patch as well. Now the herb patch is only accessible with the elite diary taken care of, so you will have to complete the elite diary. I do plan on completing at very minimum the hard diary. The Mauritania legs teleport to Barrows is going to be absolutely amazing. Barrows gear is going to be very strong. Hunter is also trainable in Mauritania. You do have the ability to catch at level 29 hunter the swamp lizards, the green swamp lizards. Now, this isn't necessarily the best way to train hunter, but it is a way to train hunter. So if this is going to be your only training method, then it's not terrible. It's like, I think 35k an hour, maybe 40k an hour at the lower levels. So I would imagine it to be fairly decent in Trailblazer League if you just want to get 99 or whatever the minimum you're looking for in points would be. So there is a 25 million XP cap. I can't imagine doing green lizards to 25 million experience, but you know, maybe that is a possibility that might actually be in my future. So there are a couple skills that aren't really trainable necessarily in Mauritania, one of which being rune crafting. Rune crafting, I would have to look elsewhere. I don't really want to do water runes to 99 and earth runes to 99, though of course you know, maybe mud runes combo might be a thing, but without lunars that would be insanity. Yeah, I don't really know what I'm gonna do with rune crafting here. I was hoping to maybe unlock Asgarnia. That does give me access to mind runes, does give me access to body runes. You know, body runes actually aren't terrible experience from the Edgeville Bank. If you're running them, there may be, I think it's what, 9 or 11k XP an hour, something like that. So maybe it's not terrible, but you know, it's definitely not the best. But of course, with infinite run, it might even be a little bit more. Let's say 14k XP an hour, and then multiply that by 16. Yeah, that's doable. You know, it's not going to be the most enjoyment you get out of the league, but it's definitely possible. Now, if you take some other areas, or if you do rune crafting, let's say in Karamja, if you're one of the guys who's going to run from the general store to the nature altar, man, more power to you. Now, I am curious with the T4 relic. I don't know if you guys know, but there is a leak that came out. The leak was, let me put it up on screen here. So up on the screen, I have the leaked names of the relics. Now, of course, it doesn't really matter because we're about 20 hours or so till the release, maybe even less by the time this video posts. But if we're looking at the tier 2 relic called Last Recall, you know, I'm thinking that something like you have some way to teleport back to the area that you came from. So let's say you're in Karamja and you teleport to I don't know, Edgeville, and you can teleport back to the nature altar. You know, maybe that's a thing. So I'm not entirely sure what this relic is going to entail, but if that's a possibility, then you know, maybe rune crafting is going to be a little bit easier than we expected, though it is still rune crafting, and rune crafting is bad. Mining, I'm really looking at Asgarnia as my secondary region, and with that I'll get pest control and void and motherlode mine. But more importantly, I personally will probably end up training mining in the mining guild. I'll probably power mine all the way to 60. Shouldn't take too long, and then I'll end up in the mining guild, get me a load of coal, get all of the iron that I need for steel. I'll make some steel knives. I'll train with steel knives for a while, so on and so forth, and that'll give me mining and smithing in Asgarnia. Fire making, you know, that's going to come as it comes. There's no winter Todd, so fire making, we're going to be doing it the good old-fashioned way. Herblore, there are some benefits for unlocking Asgarnia. You do get easy access to the Eye of Newt, though of course you would get that in Kandarin as well. There's fletching and construction. Fletching is going to be one of those things where you're just going to have to train them, so you're going to be cutting, you know, quite a bit of logs there. Realistically, without lunars, construction is going to be a pain. It's going to be hard to train construction if you don't take Kandarin. For me, we'll see how it goes. I'm not really too concerned with construction, because if you're not taking Fremenic, the higher tier player owned house stuff isn't really obtainable. You know, you need a gold leaf, you need what is it, the marble block, and the magic stone, all those other things. So realistically for me, construction is not a priority. I do want to get my skills as high as possible. I do want to unlock as many tasks as possible, but construction I think is the lowest priority on my list. Let's say if we're looking at excluding Misthalin, excluding Karamja, because those are a given. If I'm looking at Kandarin, there's so many things to do in Kandarin. I mean, for rune crafting, you have the ZMI altar. You know, maybe I take it for hunter, for access to box traps, access to red chins, access to red salamanders, access to the ZMI altar. There's so many skilling opportunities in Kandarin, not to mention monkfish, the what is it, Piscatoris Mine. Wilderness also has some really good, really good skilling areas. But I will say that the PvP aspect of Wilderness, for me, especially that clans can potentially lock down Wilderness, it's not really that enticing for me. I mean, yeah, the safe death is cool and all, but since I'm not going Endless Harvest, I really have no interest in the Wilderness. Tyrannwin does interest me. My main concern with Tyrannwin is the Hunter skill. If I were to do realistically, Tyrannwin was one of the top of my list until I realized that box traps aren't going to be available unless you take Kandarin, and darts aren't really available unless you take Desert. So I'm kind of deterred from taking Tyrannwin, though I really want to do the content in Tyrannwin regardless of the blowpipe. Regardless of the trident, I'll get a Sanguinesti staff. Fremennik would be great because of lunars. There's a lot of utility spells that will come in handy with lunars, but you know, it's kind of underwhelming. I'm taking Production Master, so I don't really need access to the Blast Furnace. I mean, yeah, sure, I lose out on best in slot rings, but I'm not too concerned with those. The regions are going to be pretty hard to pick. Moritania is the #1 pick. I do want to do Theater of Blood. That is my end game. Nightmare is more of a luxury. There's a lot of things I can do in Moritania. If you guys are looking for end game content and you've never done Theater of Blood, there's still a lot of things to do in Moritania. Just know that if you do not complete Theater of Blood, there's going to be elite tasks around it. If you don't really have friends that can carry you through, you might want to start learning it if you're a completionist anyway. My secondary pick is most likely going to be Asgarnia. Pest control is going to be very annoying, very time consuming, but Void is undoubtedly going to be very strong in the league, and I'm kind of looking forward to having Void in the league. As far as my third pick goes, I'm not really sure. I think I'm gonna wait until the tasks and the relics come out before I actually do make a decision. Tyrannwin, Desert's up for grabs. I mean, Desert's kind of like the last resort. It has been said that there's going to be 10% less points in the Desert. If you guys do want to stay up to date with me and keep track of my Trailblazer progress, go ahead and hit that subscribe button on YouTube. Also, I do live stream on Twitch. I will be live streaming the league. So if you do want to follow me there, you can catch me at twitch.tv/vjohnnyc. I really don't have any other information right now. I do know that the Trailblazer League is going to be a whole lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it. I will say one piece or one word of advice is pick your regions based on what you want to do, not what other people are doing. So figure out what's fun for you. Do you want to kill God Wars dungeons? Or do you want to kill God Wars bosses? Do you want to kill Dagonoth Kings? Do you want to just skill? Do you want to do Slayer? You know, figure out what's going to be fun for you and base your decisions on that. I'm looking forward to doing Theater of Blood in the league. I do Theater of Blood on my main. I've got a little bit less than 100 KC, so I'm by no means an expert at it. Anyways, that's all I got. Thanks for watching to the end of the video. I appreciate you guys, and I will see you in Trailblazer League.